Alfie Osborne, once again a Dunstable Town player. How does it feel to be back at the club that you love so much, mate?
Yeah, really good, mate. Really pleased to be here. Excited to get going, and feel like I'm coming home.
What brought the move about? Obviously, it's such a transition from the end of last season. We know the Joe Deeney era. We know you were a big part of that. You were a captain of the club. And everyone goes off and does their own thing, mate. But it's great to have you back. But what brought about the move to lead you back to Dunstable Town?
I think a couple of things. Game time for me is massive. You know, I'm at an age now where I feel like I'm probably sort of in my prime and I want to be playing as many games as possible. At Harpenden, that just wasn't happening for me. I was sort of in and out. So I think for me, it's mainly game time, somewhere where I feel comfortable, somewhere where I feel I can add value. And obviously, after speaking with Steve and a few people at the club, I feel like this is the best place for me. Somewhere where I really enjoyed my time before, and definitely somewhere where I think I'll enjoy my future as well.
Obviously, we sat down with Steve, myself and Matt sat down with him the other day, and he mentioned about bringing experienced players in and someone that's been there and done that. You definitely fit that bill. How do you feel your role now will be different from when you were here first time around, coming into what is a relatively young team?
Yeah, I think when I first came in, I was 25, 26. I'm 28 now, so another couple of years at this level under my belt. I think I'm near 300 odd games now, so I think for me it's mainly getting this young group under my wing and offering anything I can on and off the pitch. So whether that be a little bit of know-how of the level in the league and what it takes to win games, but also behind the scenes on the training pitch and in and around the change room, and getting around the young lads and making them feel comfortable and sort of allowing them to express themselves and have freedom, I think, is the main thing.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen with this young team, we are really growing, we're really changing. We've had some really good results. A little blip at the weekend. Will the little bit of experience that you've got in this league really add to benefit this team?
I hope so. I think I can definitely add value. After speaking with Steve, as I said, I think there's a few bits that he was looking to add. I feel like I can bring them with the experience that I can offer, and as I say, just that sort of knowledge of the level, and again, what it takes to be successful at this level. I've been fortunate enough to win this league, and I know what it takes, and hopefully I can bring that again to this club.
How does the feel around the club feel? Obviously, you left at the end of last season. We've had drastic change. Like I say, a lot of the lads that we know and love have come and gone. The management's changed. What is the feel? What vibe are you getting from Steve when you spoke to him?
Yeah, really good. I've known Steve for a long time. I used to play against him, so we had a lot of battles. But yeah, he had great things to say. I know the work he's doing is definitely going noticed by the club, and they're really happy with what he's doing and what he's built. I think it was a challenge for him coming into a completely new environment with the overhaul of players that he had. So, props to him for doing the job he has. He's built a really good squad, really talented, and obviously, hopefully I can add to that, maybe a few others, and we can really push up the level.
Alfie, great to have you back, mate. Welcome home. Welcome back to Dunstable Town.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers, mate. Yes, by the power of the internet, you've just seen me interview our new signing, former, now current Dunstable Town player, Alfie Osborne. I am now joined by Dunstable Town manager, Steve O'Reilly. Steve, just sat down with Alfie. Great to have him back at the club, mate. How on earth did this all come about?
Yeah, so look, I don't know if actually many people will know, but so I've known Alfie for quite a while actually. We played briefly together at Harpenden, and would have played against each other quite a lot.
He ain't that old, is he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, funny you believe that. Yeah, so I mean, I would have played against him probably when he was even London Colney, and then like I say, certainly in his time at Leighton, and then he had a brief spell at Harpenden together. So I've known Alfie for a while, and I know what he brings to the table. And then obviously, look, he made the move to Harpenden in the summer, so kind of passing each other by in that respects, and kind of understandable as well. We lost a lot of players in the summer from last year's squad, and some of that was kind of a bit inevitable that's just the general churn, and obviously, is a little bit of an end of an era to a certain extent with obviously Joe's reign. So So yeah, he went to Harpenden, which obviously look a fantastic club, but maybe it just hasn't quite worked out exactly how he had hoped. And so yeah, kind of going into, obviously we played them on Tuesday, and there was kind of a view that actually, I think that there'd be certainly some interest from our side, and that Alf was interested in potentially coming back. So look, I had a conversation with Harpenden at that point in time and said, look, up to that point, we hadn't really formalised any discussion. I said, look, you happy if I have that initial conversation with Alfie, and then yeah, look, we sat down, we had a chat. I spoke to him a little bit in terms of kind of where the journey's been so far in terms of how we work, and kind of what kind of the process is and the product, and kind of how we want to work here at Dunstable Town now moving forward. Um, I asked Alfie, really, really kind of clearly in terms of what he wants from a football perspective, and I think there's a good alignment. So look, really, really pleased to have him on board. Look, I know he's certainly a very popular person at the club, and I think that kind of if you go into a little bit in more detail with it, what I wanted to make sure on this one though was that I didn't just make that decision just based on kind of his popularity or kind of what he's done previously. And I know Alf would respect that as well. Yes, that's important. I want people who have an affiliation to the football club and who it means a lot to, like it does for all of us now. But I wanted to make sure it was a good move for us from a football reason perspective. So from that side of things, I certainly think that's the case as well. So yeah, really excited to have him on board.
Obviously, Steve, you joined us yesterday on the podcast with myself and Matt, and we mentioned there about maybe bringing in a few experienced players, helping out with certain situations, like we mentioned last Saturday's game against Tring. You said sometimes it's good to have just a little bit of experience on the pitch. Alfie definitely brings that into the group. What else does an Alfie Osborne bring to a Steve O'Reilly team? Because we've seen him under Joe Deeney at Dunstable. Like you say, you've known him from Harpenden and his time at Leighton. How does an Alfie Osborne fit into a Steve O'Reilly side at Dunstable Town?
Yeah, look, I mean, generally speaking, whenever we talk about players we bring in, we look at it a couple of ways. We go, right, do they improve? Are they an upgrade in a position? Or is it, they're adding depth to a position, or are they adding something different to the group? And something additional to the group. So it's recognizable in certain circumstances that at times that we're maybe not the loudest team, and we need a little bit more vocal presence, and that experience and that confidence actually that experience gives you, that, like I said, as I mentioned yesterday, that you've seen those scenarios before, and you've played in the games, and you've been through those moments where things don't quite go your way, and sometimes people are just born like that. And probably Alfie has a lot of those characteristics anyway, in terms of from a leadership and kind of really kind of stepping up when the moments are toughest. But also he is experienced, and so he has seen those situations as well, and we can draw on that experience and enable the lads around the group to kind of benefit from that. So I think that's what he'll bring. Look, he's a good footballer as well. I think that there's a lot in terms of, as you say, like he's loud on the pitch, right? And then he gets about and all those type of things. And he's a really good out of possession. He's strong, but he can play. And I think that certainly from my perspective, that anyone who plays in our team also needs to be able to get on the ball and play. I think Alfie's probably underrated in that, and I think sometimes that's played down a little bit, and I think actually he'll fit in really well to that in terms of what we want to do. So look, I think he's gonna be a really good fit for us. He's got the right mentality. As I said, look, he wants to play for Dunstable Town, which is a great thing for us. And yeah, look, he can play in versatile. He can play in a number of different positions as well, which is great. And it's a bit of a manager's dream, really, in that sense. So look, there's plenty that he'll add to the group.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of leading into my next question, Steve. Obviously, when he first joined us in his first spell at Dunstable Town, started off as a centre mid, ended up being back at centre back for the remainder of his more than the end of the second season, start of Joe's third season at Dunstable Town. Was captain and centre half for us. Does that help you as a manager? You just mentioned there, it's a term they use in the NFL all the time, like position flex. You look at someone like Lucas, started the season at left back, he's played left mid, he's played right mid. Does that help you as a manager, that the fact that you could bring an Alfie, and then if you needed to slot him in centre midfield, you could do it. You could slot him in at centre back either side. He's quite comfortable to play at centre half. Is that the kind of thing that you're looking for in a new player?
Yeah, I mean, it can be, as I say, what you don't want to do is be chopping and changing someone every game. I don't think that helps people. And I think, establishing partnerships or, familiarity and comfort. And I think that we've seen that even, Saturday was a bit disappointing, obviously in certain areas of the game, but we have seen over the last, 4 or 5 weeks that those areas of the pitch we've been able to keep as consistent as possible and build those partnerships you benefit from. So certainly don't intend on kind of 1 week playing Alfie at the back and 1 week in midfield and kind of chopping and changing in that sense. I want to use him to be able to establish some partnerships and some relationships, but it's always a good string to have to your bow, and it's a good option for us. And when you can carry someone in your 16 who can play in multiple positions as well, that gives you some of that flexibility in terms of what you do with your bench and all sorts of things. So that's great. But for Alfie to be able to deliver his best football for himself and for us, we'll want to try and find a position for him. I mean, I've got my idea in terms of what that will be. But obviously don't like trying to give too many tactics away in terms of in these interviews. But yeah, I've got an idea, certainly in terms of how initially we'll use him. But look, he's got, let's say, he's got that experience as well. So actually, if you were to move him between positions, between games or in games, he can adapt to that. And just going back to some of our earlier conversations this week and in the past as well, where, well, actually, if it's someone younger, that might be a bit of a challenge, if you're kind of constantly moving them between places. So yeah, look, I've got a clear idea in terms of how we'll use him, but his versatility is a good strength of his as well, clearly.
Steve, just finishing up, is this the old adage in football, never say never? You mentioned there at the start of the interview that, it always happens. Players come and go with a new regime. I always say to people involved in non-league football, mainly when I've been involved in it, it's never really goodbye. The non-league merry-go-round, it's a funny old thing. Are we just being proven here, mate, that you should never say never in football?
Yeah, definitely. Look, it's about certainly for the level of football that we play at, it's about being a good fit. It's about enjoying your football and being somewhere where you can enjoy your football. And it's also understanding where, sitting from a player's perspective, that, where do you want to play? Where you want to play is important as well. And so, the conversations with Alfie, I said, we're really positive in terms of, him being a fit with us. It would have been nice if it had been, maybe a couple of months earlier for me. I'll probably remind him of that maybe just 3 or 4 times a week now for the next 7 or 8 months. But if it makes good sense for us. And look, as I said, look, he's certainly a popular figure and rightly so at the club. But more importantly, good footballer, will add a lot to the group. And yeah, I think that the second coming can be as good as the first, and that'll be really positive for us.
Most definitely, most definitely. Well, Steve-O, thanks for your time as always, mate. I will catch you tomorrow at training as we sit here on a Wednesday evening. Just sat down with Alfie, sat down with yourself now, mate. Really good signing for the club, and I generally do think it's a great positive move for the club, mate. So I will catch you at training. You can catch our podcast back. I will be back on Saturday, all being well with the weather. I shall be sitting down with the man you see on your screen there, or here, Mr. Steve O'Reilly. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Alfie Osborne. I don't want to big him up too much, Steve. His head's already big enough as it is. You can rib him about not coming back a bit late, and I can get into him about his haircuts again. But it's great to have Alfie back. He really is a tremendous guy. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Talk of the Town podcast. Till next time, everybody, up the Blues.